All right, well, came down after dinner, thought I would check on the contest, but it occurred to me that I made a little progress this weekend on getting the ability to run multiple programs interfacing with the WinKeyer working. And haven't really done a video on CatHub and how we've solved the problem of, in general, of having multiple software programs interfacing uh, with the rig directly. Um, and so I thought I would just kind of demo what we've got working here. Let me find a frequency to play around on that's outside of the contest. And what I want you to notice is that we have a bunch of different programs. I've got N1MM up here. I've got the ARCP software that Kenwood provides for programming the rig and doing rig control. And I've got QSO Ripper, which is our custom logger. And over here I have the HDSDR software, which is hooked up to the RX888 SDR. And you can see they're all showing the same frequency because they're all talking to the radio. And so if I physically spin the radio dial, if you notice, they're all changing and they're all updating at the same time with the new frequency from the radio itself. And so if I click on a signal in the SDR, you can also see all of the different programs have now changed to uh, that frequency. So when I click on the waterfall in HDSDR, it talks to the radio, changes the frequency, and all of the other programs update automatically at the same time. Okay, so that's the cat control side of things, which is one interesting problem that we had to solve. The other one is, of course, I have the WinKeyer here, which is hooked up to my key. And so if I send through the paddle here to my right, um, let me turn on Vox so I'll actually do some sending. It's a little actually fast for my sending abilities. Let's find something in the middle. No, there we go. Okay, so that's going through the WinKeyer. But of course, and that's sending with an actual paddle, an actual key that's plugged into the going through the WinKeyer, and then into the paddle port on the back of the radio, the TS590. But you can also drive the WinKeyer with software, and that's what for contesting. So if I'm in, for example, N1MM and running a contest, and I want to just use a macro to send, I can do that. But as the WinKeyer is also on a specific COM port, just like the radio is on a specific COM port, we had to figure out how to solve multiple pieces of software talking to the WinKeyer on that COM port. And to show that I've got that working, I'm going to send F7, which is test in N1MM. And so you can see it sent test DE from KC7ABA, which is my call sign. And also I have a terminal program here that I can use the QSO Ripper command line interface, which also has macros. You can see we have the my call macro here that we've configured. And I'm going to send it 25 words a minute. And I can also now hit enter. And using the CLI, also talk to the WinKeyer and send the code and actually transmit through the radio. And what's interesting here is that again, we figured out how to solve this problem of multiple pieces of software interfacing with hardware that's hooked up to a single COM port on the radio. And so we've got that working, and I wanted to show how we did that. So I made a little site. This is on my website, artrite.com, that just kind of explains how we did that. And the main thing is to look at the actual architecture, which is the hardware. So we've got the transceiver and the WinKeyer over here on the left. And they're on COM4 for the transceiver, COM3 for the WinKeyer. And that's the actual, so the hardware is plugged into, the back of the PC on those COM ports. And the magic is CatHub, which is the software piece. It's written in Rust that acts as the broker between all of the software and the hardware. So the only thing that talks to the hardware is the CatHub. And so it has two brokers. It's got the WinKeyer, which is talking to COM3, and it's got the main serial interface to the radio, which is talking on COM4. And then the software all just talks to CatHub. And then CatHub's job is to broker what the software is trying to do to the actual physical hardware. And the way we're doing that, so Windows doesn't let it only lets one program own a given COM port at a time. And so the way that we're actually making this work is by using this COM0COM driver. And what COM0COM provides is basically a virtual serial cable, where you have the software is on one port, one end of the serial cable, and the CatHub is on the other. And so the software talks to its own serial port, but that's basically going through the virtual serial cable, just like you had two computers back in the day hooked up through serial ports. We're basically doing that virtually. So within the given application, it knows that, like in this example, N1MM is going to talk to COM41, but that's actually going to send its bytes that it's sending on COM41 to CatHub on COM40, and then CatHub is going to take that and then broker that to the actual, in this case, WinKeyer to send code from N1MM. And so if we go to our actual log settings, you can see that here where if I go to CatHub, we have our virtual WinKeyer faces, and each one has those two ends of the serial cable. So you've got the CatHub port, and then you've got the actual application port. And so here you can see we have N1MM for sending CW, where CatHub is on 40, and N1MM talks to COM41. And then if I can pull up what this looks like in the actual QSO Ripper TOML file. So this is the config file that has all of the configuration. You can see if we look for N1MM on here, if I can find it, right here, we have that same. Okay, so this is N1MM for the CatHub face, so that's to actually talk to the radio itself. And if we look for, yes, and then here's the WinKeyer face, and that has our COM40 and COM41. So this is N1MM CW, and that has those two ports for talking to the WinKeyer. So N1MM has two entries in the config, one for talking to the radio for setting the frequency and receiving the frequency when we change it, and then the other one is for the WinKeyer for sending CW. So yeah, so that's basically how we have solved the problem of multiple software programs talking to different parts of the station hardware. So we've got the WinKeyer, and then we've got the rig control, and so far it's been working great. It's it's been a fun task or a fun challenge to get that working, and excited that we have it running.